morning, Southborough. Memorial Day 2020. What a change. Most of you know me, but my name's Steve Weiner. I'm the commander of the VFW Post 3276. It is an honor to stand here with Danny Calander, the commander of American Legion, Post 161. Lisa Bracco from the Board of Selectmen will be stepping forward here shortly, representing the board. And to my fellow veterans, we're here to ensure that we pay the proper respect and honors to our fallen. I had a few comments this morning about Happy Memorial Day, and from a personal side, I'm not crazy about the term Happy Memorial Day. I think it's an honorable day. If you think about the happy and why we're here, I think you might understand. To begin this observance, I'm going to call upon the Trottier Middle School music director, Jamie Clark, to perform the national anthem. Detail, 10, hut! Present, hook! Outstanding, Jamie. Thank you so much. As usual, when we do these observances, and especially this year, last minute things always seem to work out. Jamie offered to do this, and I thought it was fantastic. So, Memorial Day is to commemorate and remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure the freedoms that this nation stands for. From the days of the American Revolution through the war between the states, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the global war on terrorism, and the many not-so-known conflicts and skirmishes that this country has endured. Thousands of men and women from the town of Southborough have answered the call. Even as we enjoy this day today, our residents are serving abroad, around the globe, under the ocean, in the skies, standing by to protect the free people and between us and those who seek to do us harm. Due to the restrictions placed by the governor, we are unable to conduct the Memorial Day parade as we usually do and the observances that we have at the various cemeteries. It's unfortunate, but this long-standing tradition here in Southborough has had to take a little bit of a blip for this year. Hopefully next year we'll be back to normal. To not honor our fallen was simply not an option. We have an obligation and a duty to ensure the highest respect and honors are rendered to those who have fallen. We must always remember that their sacrifices allow us to be here today, enjoy the freedoms. It's not just today, but it's the entire year. I want to thank Southborough Access Media, friend of ours, Terry Underwood, who is videotaping these observances. And this will at least allow our residents to see that we will not forget our fallen, and we will not permit them to be forgotten. I usually stumble when I have to read. I'm better off coming straight, but even though State Representative Carolyn Dykema couldn't be with us today, she did send us a video on her remarks for Memorial Day, and Terry will be incorporating those into her presentation. I want to extend a tremendous thank you to the small groups of people we had at Rural Cemetery on Saturday afternoon. Again, another tradition, would have 70 to 80 people at the cemetery Friday night to put the flags out. We couldn't do that. We took small SWAT teams, I'll call them, and we canvassed the cemetery, and we were able to replace all the flags, nearly 1,000 flags, so that every one of our veterans is properly honored. I want to thank the DPW workers, Chris Leroy and his crew, who constantly work to keep that cemetery looking good, especially at Memorial Day. You'll see them leading up to the weeks out there working to get the place dressed up. It looks fabulous, and as I walked through the cemetery yesterday with my two grandsons and my daughter to check on the flags, I had people coming over and saying how great this cemetery looks. Those guys and women should be really proud. Our appreciation again to Chief Paulus and the Southborough Police and the Fire Department, Steve Achilles, for their ongoing support, not just today, but throughout the year. As you travel Route 85 in Main Street, you see the symbol of this great nation flying from the roadway, above the roadway. Our deepest appreciation once again to the Fanner family. Peter and his wife Bonnie take care of this memorial, and over the past countless years, their sons Adam and PJ put the flags up every year. And if you came across the causeway this morning from the south, you saw all those flags along the guardrail. PJ Fanner, retired firefighter from Foxborough, took care of that. That's a nice little touch. As you see, we only have a small group of veterans here with us today. Rest assured, we miss seeing them all. Veterans like World War II veteran Arthur Butler, who I spoke with just a few days ago. Mr. Butler was apologizing to me for not being able to be here. I said, "Sir, you have nothing to apologize for. We want you to be safe, and we want to see you in the future. We want to see him here on Veterans Day." Guys like Dick Varney and Gino Tabaldi and Ray Minucci, Korea War veterans, aren't with us today. We know it's not easy for them not to be here, but we also understand that their safety and their health is more important. At this time, I'm going to turn to Colonel Dan Callander, American Legion, to share with his remarks. Sir.
Thank you, Commander Wynot, and thanks to everyone who takes the time to view these observances virtually. We hope and pray that we can all be together again soon. Our great country has a proud history of meeting national and international challenges and defeating our enemies in whatever form they may take. Today, we remember those who lost their lives in service to our country. When we remember the fallen, when we say their names, they can seem less far away, if even for a moment. This past year, we saw more brave service members with ties to Massachusetts give their lives so that others can live in freedom. We lost Master Sergeant Luis De Leon Figueroa, a 31-year-old decorated Massachusetts Special Forces soldier who was killed in combat operations in Afghanistan. And we lost 3 United States Marines who were assigned to the 25th Marine Regiment, 4th Marine Division of the Marine Corps Reserve, based nearby in Fort Devens, Massachusetts, when their convoy hit a roadside bomb near Bagram Airfield, Afghanistan. Like thousands of Americans before them, these service members left the peaceful shores of the United States of America for battlefields in faraway places. They died protecting the freedoms they enjoyed here, and due to their efforts and sacrifice, we still get to enjoy every day. They would have loved that family barbecue today, that game of catch, that phone call from a distant friend. We can honor their sacrifice by doing those very same things and by living a purposeful life in peace and harmony with one another, always striving to make our community, our commonwealth, our country a better place. As President Warren Harding proclaimed during a speech at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, Arlington National Cemetery, 99 years ago, our part is to atone for the losses of heroic dead by making a better republic for the living. Let us work together to do exactly that, and let us always remember so that we may never forget.
Amen.
Thank you, and may God continue to bless our war dead, our beautiful town of Southborough, and the United States of America. Thank you, Commander.
All right.
Thank you, sir. I'll now ask Colonel Jackman to come forward to read the list of veterans who have been buried here in Rural Cemetery over the past year. Sir.
Thank you, Steve. Veterans who have been buried in Southborough's rural cemetery since last Memorial Day. David Adams Knapton, Needham, Massachusetts, World War II, Army. Roger B. Rosenquist, Southborough, Massachusetts, Korea, Army. Reginald O. Mabey, Marlborough, Massachusetts, World War II, Army. Napoleon R. Pete DePina, Southborough, Massachusetts, Korea, Army. Francis J. McPhee, Framingham, Massachusetts, Korea, Marine Corps. John E. Callanan, Southborough, Massachusetts, peacetime, Army. John A. Bartolini, Southborough, Massachusetts, World War II, Army. George E. Amazine Jr., Marlborough, Massachusetts, Korea, Air Force. Charles F. Hamill, Southborough, Massachusetts, World War II, Coast Guard. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Jackman. At this time, I'd like to ask Lisa Bracco, the Board of Selectmen, to share her remarks.
Good morning, and thank you, Commander Wynot and Commander Kalenda, for allowing me to participate in this solemn day. On behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I'm honored to extend our gratitude for the selfless service given by so many and their families that we'll never forget. Memorial Day is a day unlike any other. It's a day to not honor the living, but the dead. It's a day to honor and remember these names on the wall behind me who died defending our freedom. Originally known as Decoration Day, since 1868, families, friends, and comrades have come together to pay tribute at cemeteries around this great nation. A day to honor those who answered the call to duty, to protect our freedom and way of life, and never got the chance to see their child smile, hug their mother or their wife, or see a sunset again. I'd like to share in A Mother's Dream from Andrew Dean, and then a quick quote. The day our flagpole was ready, we had no flag to fly. A mother stepped forward and said, I have a flag with a tear in her eye. It was given to me the day we laid my son to rest. He was a true blue soldier who gave his life his best. I got a knot in my throat and a chill in my bones. A tear rolled down my face. A mother has lost her son at war, the pain on her face. In a mother's eyes, you can see red, white, and blue. In a mother's eyes, you can see the pain, so true. Freedom comes with the cost of sadness and loss. You can see in a mother's eyes. When someone puts their life on the line so others can be free, it's a selfless act of courage and love. How thankful we all should be. And when I look at the flag today, I see a whole new meaning there. I see the men and women who died for her, so this freedom we can share. In a mother's eyes, you can see red, white, and blue. In a mother's eyes, you can see the pain so true. Freedom comes with the cost of sadness and loss, you can see in a mother's eyes. I'd like to end by sharing a quote from Sergeant David Duchesnay. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us the freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who gives us the freedom of speech. It's the soldier, not the politicians, that ensures our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's the soldier who salutes the flag, who serves beneath the flag, and whose coffin is draped by the flag. Thank you to all those who serve.
Thank you, Lisa. Once again, outstanding. And I wish to thank you and your husband, Matt, for all you guys do for the town. A lot of people don't see the behind the scenes. I know. I appreciate it. Another long-standing tradition that we've had is the observance that we have at the Civil War Memorial behind us, commemorating the soldiers and sailors of Southborough who fell during the war between the states. We would normally have a sixth grader, and it was always enjoyable to contact Trottier and ask them for a sixth grader to be selected to read the Gettysburg Address. Once again, because of the current situation, we weren't able to do that. However, once again, Trottier Middle School music director Jamie Collins stepped in. I now welcome Jamie to read the Gettysburg Address.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a civil war, testing whether that nation, or any nation, so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that a nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they have fought here thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Well done, Jamie. Thank you. Thank you once again, Mr. Jamison. During World War I, the United States suffered more than 37,000 killed in action, and another 20,000 died in non-direct combat injuries or sickness. Many were buried in lone graves across Europe, such as Flanders Field in Belgium. Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae authored a poem noting the crosses and stars and marking the burial sites of thousands killed in action in France and the western Belgium. These were young men who went to war but never returned. His thoughts are shared in the poem in Flanders Field. Normally at this time, we would welcome Ray Minucci, U.S. Korea Army veteran, to step forward and recite Flanders Field. Pinch hitting for Mr. Minucci today will be Colonel Dan Calenda, sir.
Thank you, Commander Wynot. In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
Amen. Well done. Right.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Minucci would be appreciated. On the wall behind us are the names of the Southborough natives who served in World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan. In the centerpiece are the names of those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. We cannot bring these men back, but we can do our part, and it is our obligation and duty to do our part to see that these principles that they gave their lives for are not forgotten, and that these men are always remembered, not just today, but throughout the year. As you drive by the memorial during your days, upcoming days, take a glance and remember what these men gave their lives for and how fortunate we are to live in this country. Leo L. Bagley, World War I. Charles H. Davis, World War II. Raymond O'Gould, World War II. Frank Harris, World War II. Joseph P. Jeniak, World War II. Robert L. Renault, World War II. Hale Very, World War II. Harold E. Fay, World War II. Henry Kaler, World War II. F.C. Hunt, World War II. John F. McNeil, World War II. Henry G. Stevens, World War II. And Robert R. Foley, Vietnam. As you can see, Southborough residents and sons of Southborough in this town gave quite a bit for our freedom during World War II. Though we've had to break from tradition, each and every veteran standing here today are dedicated to the same purpose. We cannot, we will not forget the sacrifices of those who served before us. We remember them, we must always remember them, and if need be, we must remind our neighbors to remember them, because their freedoms are what these men gave their lives for.
I'm State Representative Carolyn Dykema. While we can't be together today as we usually are, I want to thank the Southborough veterans and Southborough Access Media for hosting this virtual remembrance. It's important to join together as a community to properly recognize Memorial Day and those the holiday is intended to remember. Right now, we're at a unique and unprecedented time living through this pandemic. It's a time of great change and great uncertainty for all of us. But it's not the first time in our country's history that we've faced a national challenge. We've faced adversity many times as a nation, most notably during our great wars. From the American Revolution to Iraq and Afghanistan to all the conflicts in between, we've lived through remarkable hardship and struggle. And we've faced them and pressed on together. In those times, as we do now, we look for hope and inspiration in our heroes. And today is about honoring all of those heroes who for almost 250 years have set aside their personal safety and the comfort of their families to serve others through their military duty. Today, we especially honor those for whom their service was their last act. There is truly nothing more noble than to sacrifice your life for the well-being of others. And it is those exceptional individuals who did just that we're honoring here today on Memorial Day. It's a great risk to step forward to serve in a time of war. The fallen soldiers that we honor today took that risk and paid dearly. But their memories live on, and we take a moment here today to reflect on their lives and their sacrifice. They were ordinary men and women who made extraordinary contributions to our country. Today, we thank them and all those who serve. You protect us, and your commitment to service gives us great hope for the future. May God bless our veterans, all of you, and our United States of America. Best wishes to all for a safe and healthy Memorial Day.
Sergeant at Arms.
Aim. Fire. Ready? Aim. Fire. Ready? Aim. Roger. Up.
What a different kind of day we live in. Normally we'd be looking at the crowds and enjoying this day. It's a little strange, but I appreciate you folks that have come here today. Jamie, for your national anthem, taps, and to all that fellow veterans that are with us. Thank you all for being here. With that, this concludes Southborough's Memorial Day 2020 observance. Thank you all.